if I lost my son 2 days ago, you know where I'd be? In bed, curled up in the fetal position, crying
Yeah.
out to God, going,
Yeah.
where are you? And he goes, well, that's where my wife is.
Yeah.
And he goes, but I had to come be around men to receive a word.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let's get that word and pull it out of heaven right now. Welcome to the Maverick Entrepreneur Podcast, where business success meets personal purpose. Here we empower entrepreneurs to strike that perfect balance between massive growth and unwavering values. Dive deep into strategies, inspirations, and stories that ensure you set your foundation in faith and don't compromise your family on your ascent to the top. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Maverick Entrepreneur. We have someone very special, a guest all the way. Well, you're not NorCal, but anything above San Diego, we pretty much say NorCal.
Exactly.
He drove below the split through traffic, but very special guest who we met, not too long ago through another mutual friend, and I was very fascinated by this man. This man said some things to me that I said, this is the type of guy I want on my podcast because of what he carries. And so I was more shocked to find out what he did as a profession. 2, what he does in his ministry. 3, that he's a grandfather. I
Why
mean,
not? Let's go.
dear Lord, not taking TRT. That's what I'll say.
Amen.
Amen. Looking this good, I'm thinking to myself, because you always want to find somebody that you want to chase. That's been my philosophy my whole life. Who's somebody older than me that can emulate some things I want to be when I'm that age? And I'm thinking to myself, man, he's raised 5 kids, all successfully, meaning they found spouses, they're moving on, they're in 5 different states, still married and wants to be married, which that's a unicorn these days. How many years have you been married?
38.
38.
Let's go.
Bro, every time I look at it, I just go, oh, total stud. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a man's man. And I like being around those type of men that have a warrior spirit. We just had Dr. Lance Wollenow come and speak, and he was talking about finding this threefold. And you want to find someone that has that lover, that warrior, and that statesman. And that is a unicorn. And he went on to describe it, and that's a whole nother ball of wax that we can get into. But this is one of the first men that I've realized, besides my pastor, that I'm like, that guy, I want to get to know him better. I got to get him on my podcast because he's going to inspire a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of men, even women that can not lower a bar, but raise the bar for what's possible. So very excited to have you. Thank you for being here, driving down. I don't take it lightly.
Always great to be with you.
Oh, well, you say that now, but we'll see.
You're the man.
Yeah, come on, prophesy. So I'm excited. Dr. Dave, you are a chaplain for the White Rose Project. So we're going to talk about that. You are a NCAA ref for basketball.
Make the call.
We are going to talk about that. And you are a family man, a believer, and you're also a coach for business owners, entrepreneurs.
That's right. And pastor like you.
And a pastor like me. Man, you got the titles, man. What's the difference between a chaplain and a pastor?
Not much.
Not much. Yeah, I was going to say. What's interesting, though? I just got asked if I was a chaplain, and I said, oh, I'm a pastor. And this team, you may know them. They just opened up a gym in Oceanside.
Nice.
And they're looking for a chaplain. I said, oh, I'm a pastor. And they go, oh, we need a chaplain. I go, what?
Yeah.
Is that semantics?
Yeah, it is semantics. They want a pastor, a shepherd, someone who's going to champion them, but in the workplace. And so they don't want to use a churchy name in their opinion. So chaplain is
I'm getting my chaplain certification.
It's the stealthy way to.
I'm getting stealth.
There you go.
I want to be the chaplain. I just need to know how my Sacramento Kings are going to find out when I'm the chaplain for the LA Clippers.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I want to think through that.
Deep down, I'm still a Kings fan. So don't worry, all my Kings. You got to believe. Hold on the line. So I want to start off and talk about mostly, kind of how we met, is through the 916 project. What got you involved with that? Why are you passionate about it? And then we're going to get to a funny story about some reffing. And then we're going to uncork a bunch of stuff. But I loved it just about how how we met, and then what was the affinity? Because that's going to help a lot of people understand us.
Yeah. Well, you're a warrior, you're a maverick, and Seth is as well. He's the head of the White Rose Resistance, and the COO knew that I coached entrepreneurs and CEOs and some pastors. So he's like, this guy's a little bit crazy and provocative and can blow things up. Do you want to kind of pastor him, coach him? And so, of course, I was privileged to do it. He's a great guy. And as the White Rose grew, and as we started to release the 1916 Project, going church to church and releasing that movie, more staff. So I ended up coaching more people. So super cool. But and then of course Seth is super selective. Like he doesn't have the time or energy to go all over the world. So he picked you and your fellowship, and he's like, that's where I want to be. So traveling with him, I got to meet crazy people like you, dangerous people.
Yeah. Oh, the crazy ones change the world. So
why not?
I'm not offended at all. I'll take it. But yeah, I just read this quote. It was so good. It's like it's just talking about converts. I mean, you can believe in Jesus, and your converts go to heaven. Disciples change the world. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? That's why I like hanging out with, disciples.
Yeah. Well,
those that want to be coached. That's all it is. Like if you're a disciple, you mean I'm coachable.
Yeah, one of the great things about COVID is it just separated the wheat from the chaff, the men from the boys. We started to see who was more compliant to Caesar than doing what was bold for God, and you and your kind, right? It just we know hundreds of pastors.
Yeah.
But the pool of people that you want to be with and respect is just been whittled down. I feel like we're like Leonidas with a 300 or something.
True.
Right? Or
cream rises to the top.
Or Gideon. It's like, we don't need 132,000 troops to go against the Midianites. Whittle us down to 300 men who have a chest, and let's go make a difference.
Yeah.
And you're one of those guys.
I'll never forget in that 300 movie, it's like, what do you do? Carpenter. What do you do?
Yeah.
I'm a plumber. What do you do? I'm a rock layer.
Yeah.
Sparta, what do you do?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, okay, they're going down.
Yeah, well, it's an identity issue, right? Who are you? Are you a child of the king, an heir of the throne? And then really reffing, pastoring, chaplaining, whatever people do, butcher, baker, candlestick, those are platforms, dude.
Yeah.
That's not who you are.
Yeah.
That's where
somebody needed to hear that.
That's where you serve. That's where you make a difference. That's where you infiltrate.
I can't tell you how many men I've pastored that when they lost their job, they lost their identity.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking to myself, no one's more passionate about chiropractic than I am. There's a few chiropractors out there that think they are. Let's just call ourselves even. You know what I mean? It's like, I know what I believe, but I'm more than a chiropractor.
Right.
If something happened to me, I just figure out the next thing. But, I like convergence. I'm so passionate about it. It gives me a lot of purpose, but I know there's even a bigger purpose. My identity's not going to get caught up in what I do. Yeah. It's who I be. And I think helping people define that who they be is just a huge thing. And as a coach, I'm sure, what kind of journey do you take people on? Like what are you attracted to as far as who you want to hang out with?
Well, I want to hang out with you. I keep applying to be your best friend, but I don't know what the vetting process is on that. But apparently it's taking some time.
I have a little PTSD with pastors. You got to understand.
Well, they're a little odd. Pastors are a little bit odd.
Well, I grew up just, in like more religiosity.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like Christians, and I definitely didn't like pastors. And that's how I know God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Fully saved. And my wife and I are pastors. Is like, God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, now I got to like him.
Yeah.
And he goes, you don't have to like him.
Well, pastoring is just a platform for you. You're a 5-talent guy. And from Matthew 25, God gives what he wants. He can give 1 talent, 2 talent. Sometimes he gives 5. Well,
appreciate the 5.
I work with 5-talent guys, and they have a tough time because they want to be entrepreneurial, change the world, all that. But they read a lot of, entrepreneurial books, and they're about find your why, find your lane, find your niche. And that's great if you're a 1-talent guy.
Yeah.
It's not too bad if you're a 2-talent guy.
Yeah.
You're a butcher, baker. If you're a baker, go make your muffins, dude.
Yeah.
And they're like in their groove. But 5-talent guys, like if we say, just do one thing then, dude, just focus.
Would kill me.
They're so bored, and they're so like something's missing. It's something on their palate isn't satisfied. And so that's I love working with 5-talent guys because they're completely misunderstood by the culture. None of the entrepreneurial books work exactly for them. They have to.
No, it's true.
They have to modify it, and because it's like, dude,
I just wrote my own. I got to get it published, and it's about that.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny? I didn't want to just the reason why I've been holding on to it. I mean, my assistant's a little upset with me. She goes, "Are you going to release that book? Are you going to release that book?" And I just haven't had this release. And I really realized I didn't want to call it the Maverick Entrepreneur. So that's what it's been called. But maybe I call it the 5 talent guy or the 5 talent
That's all I
entrepreneur.
work with is 5 talent
Man, I
guys.
have to send you some royalties if I
Yeah,
do that.
there you go.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do it.
You're
It's true
hilarious.
because no one understands me. We took this test because when my wife and I were married, I was like, man, let's develop as much as we can. You know, we're in church. I still want more. But you go to so many cheesy Christian marriage conferences, you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
oh, you know. And so we finally found this test,
Right.
and it's looking at compatibility and how to communicate better. And we took this test.
Nice.
And so we went and met with the lady who was breaking down the test for us. And this is what she said. She goes, you guys are both very unique. I'm like, oh, yeah. She goes, it's interesting. Some tests have a much more, like, have really affinity and work with each other. She goes, the interesting thing about you, Dr. Matt, you are a triple processor. That means you need multiple plates spinning at all times. And the more that you have on your plate, the more focused you get. And this is how your brain works. Matter of fact, if you have you're all over the place. And people will think that you're not specific. But matter of fact, the more you have, so it's like this 5 talent thing. So she's explaining to me, I'm like pumped. And then I was waiting, I'm pumped. She goes, and Michaela, you are gifted. And she went through Michaela's whole thing. And then she looked, she goes, the only thing, Michaela, is the only thing that will shut you down is this one category. And that's your husband. He's a triple processor. Triple processors overwhelm you. Triple processor. I'm like,
There you go.
oh. So the
Well,
rest of
but now it makes sense, right? It makes sense to everyone. Well, and you're an influencer. You know, if you take the Gallup Strengths Finder assessment, the Clifton Strengths, which I like to work with and work team, I only primarily work with influencers, and they're less than 7% of the people on that. So there's about 30% strategic thinkers, 30%, executors, 30% relationship builders, but they're always this odd category that no one else understands, and they're always 5 talent people.
Yeah.
So,
you want to be with the best of the best. We're Premier League.
Yeah, I don't want people to think that they're better than someone else. Everyone's,
No, but
cool.
here's the truth.
But they're unique.
Yeah, but you might find people and you pull the gold out of them.
Yeah.
I find guys, I don't want to work with the arrogant or the people they think.
Yeah.
I look for a mindset in certain people, and I go, that's what I want in my, because the Maverick's for everybody.
Yeah.
But my lion chasers in my upper room,
Right.
No, that's for, you can't buy your way into that.
Yeah. One of the problems for them too is they're so dynamic, effervescent, very luminous people like you are, gregarious. They're always kind of the most interesting people in the room, even if they're super humble and quiet and try to be introverted and they're just interesting, right? They're unique, and people often don't realize that they suffer. There's an existential loneliness. In being a little bit quirky.
You're trying to get in my head right now.
And so, well, a lot of times people go, why would you coach those people? Those people are already on their game. I don't coach anyone who's like, I'm more talented than they're brilliant. They're amazing. Like they run their own their own enterprises and stuff. But there is a loneliness and a difficulty in processing and talking through their own journey with someone. So it's super cool to be behind the scenes with them and make sure.
Got there yet, but I don't want to be lonely. I think maybe that's why I like being around amazing people.
Well, one of the classic symptoms of someone who doesn't have a coach or a mentor or grandpa or good friends is they use people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They give their sermon and they're like, hey, what'd you think of my sermon? Did you like my opening illustration? Did you, it's like, you're pining for approval, dude. You're supposed to give that free. Yeah. Go get your stuff met by your wife, your coach, your friends.
For years.
So you can go just give to people. And you and I want our platforms to be places we give.
Yep.
But that means we're stewarding our soul somewhere that people aren't seeing, where we're getting what we need.
That's a great revelation. I'll tell you when I first got into ministry, because I didn't think I was qualified to be a pastor. I was pining because I was like, oh, especially when you have a pastor like Pastor Jurgen who preached the paint off a wall, is amazing. And then you're the next Sunday, it's the most, it pushes every insecurity to the surface. So that journey, I would tell you my first 4 years. And I remember God all the time just saying, chill out. I got you. Yeah. If you really know I'm talking through you, then why are you even questioning that? You're insulting my Holy Spirit. I'm like, oh shoot. So the whole journey is a trust journey.
Yeah.
So I find, every one of us are on a journey.
Yep.
I have one of the funniest stories. Speaking about journeys, I had a guy at my men's prayer meeting come up to me. He saw us talking at church because you came down, you were with Seth. We were showing, he was preaching. We showed the movie. It was amazing. Anyways, this guy is a NCAA or not, he's NAIA,
Coach.
yeah, coach.
Yeah.
And came up to me just telling me, repenting. He said that, you know that guy that you were talking to on Sunday? And I said, Dr. Dave? And he goes, yeah, he's a ref. And I said, oh, yes, I do. He's a good ref from what I've heard. I've never seen him, but he looks
He's
feisty.
amazing.
And I said, and he looks yoked, like he could run up down that court and probably dunk on the dunkers. And he started laughing. He goes, oh man, I know him. He coached the game and I had this massive thing. And then I felt like the Holy Spirit tell me to forgive him and I need to watch my attitude. And then I didn't. And then I saw him again and I was like, oh, this is God giving me a chance to go do it. And then I folded like a deck chair and I didn't do it again. And I just realized I had so much resentment in this. He's that guy, that ref. And then when he saw you at church, he knew, oh, I got to get this right. And he was going through this. It was amazing to hear how much dialogue he had because of the court to the house of God. He was just getting pushed. And you realize he had to go eat crow and apologize for his resentment. I'm like, you get mad at refs? And he goes, oh man, he's intense. And I said, oh no, I know, I could tell. I like it. I'm gonna have to come watch you ref. Anyways, it was his journey.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to go. And I said, well, he's a great guy. I'm sure he'll humbly receive your, do you forgive me, if you got the huevos to go do it. And he goes, I'm gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And he came up and he did do it. And it was super cool. And it was really cool to let him know, look, that's my job. You have a difficult job.
my
You got a lot
job's
of
to
anger.
rattle the coach.
Well, it's not to rattle the coach, but to absorb the
Yeah.
transference of your rage.
Yeah, of your
Because
rage.
you're anxious and it's very difficult for a coach to say, look, okay, we've missed 17 free throws. We've turned the ball over 8 times. I don't want to look at that. I'm going to just yell at that traveling call I didn't like or that foul call, right?
Yeah.
They have to transfer and sublimate their angst to someone. I'm like, I'm happy to receive it. Just just stay off the court for me. And because I don't want to have to tee you, if I could talk you out of it.
Deep down, do you like teeing people?
No,
You don't.
I'm the least teed up guy in the nation.
You're not known for your tees.
No.
How
I'm
many
not
refs are there in college basketball?
Well, there's typically like 38 per conference, and there's several hundred of us, I guess, across the nation. But
Do y'all know each other?
we do.
How's your reputation in the?
Well, we're ranked with each other, so it's very competitive that way. You kind of know where you're ranked and who picks you up and who assigns you.
How's your ranking?
Incredible, of course, right?
Wow.
But anyways.
That's good. So refs are ranked.
Yeah, we rate each other. Coaches rank us, and we have assigners that rank us. So you're always getting evaluated. Everything's on film these days, so there's always the ability.
Do you think your skill set's pretty good?
I think so.
What do you think it takes to be a good ref?
Well, the young refs, they tend to just call fouls and violations. They don't realize that's really.
Do they even know the game?
They know the game, they know the rules, but it's like spiritually, there's people that are very legalistic. They know the letter of the law, but they don't know the spirit of the law. And this is where the statesmen really rise above. It's like, you got to be selective. And they don't realize that the best reffing is not live ball officiating. That's not when the game's going on, when people are watching. The best officiating is dead ball officiating. That is during the timeouts when I go into the huddle and go, Matt, quit grabbing his shorts. Number 22, stay vertical. Quit giving me a hat. Like you kind of coach the players while no one's watching. So there's no shame. They're not on the line. You don't have to. Every time we blow the whistle, it stops the whole dang game.
Yeah.
The new refs are often like a CHP who hides behind the billboard and then comes out and tickets you.
Can't stand those CHPs.
No, I pull my car up, shine my lights, and they drive so much better. Once they see. So
I think coach with you.
I think the best refs do dead ball officiating. They officiate when no one's watching and everyone's wondering why the game's going so well.
That's the thing.
And they have presence. And presence is pulling your car up and going, hey, I could do that with a guy who's like hand checking, like, hey, hey, and he pulls back. I don't have to stop the game now. He
Mm.
does what I need him to do, and let's move on.
So you're kind of like calling it out while the game's going on.
Absolutely.
What do the
Always,
players
always.
think of you?
Oh, I mean, they don't want to foul.
Yeah.
They don't want the game. The game is so boring watching free throws.
Yeah, it
On and
is.
on. Stop, 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 stop.
You
So
get it.
so the goal is to get out of the way,
You're
be
mentoring
humble.
them during dead ball.
Absolutely.
That's why you're good.
And the coach you're mentioning, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying, coach, you got to work with me. Look, I can tee you and throw you in front of everyone if we want to do that, but I don't want to go there.
Dude, am
Work
I
with
too
me.
old to ref? Maybe I should look into a reffing gig.
You
I
got to,
would love it.
dude. You're ready
Do
for
I
it.
start in high school or do I start t-ball? I mean,
We'll start you Parks and Recs.
Parks and
You'll give
Rec,
you
that's
that
right.
third and fourth grade championship,
third and
because
fourth
then you have
grade.
to deal with parents, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I'm
brutal.
pretty good. I deal with parents every day. I mean, the one art of chiropractic is I call parents to the carpet on stuff. And they'll be like, Dr. Matt, why do I got to see you so much? I'm like, honestly, you wouldn't have to, but every time your kid comes in here, they got a Pepsi, a Coke, they got some sort of soft drink, a grape bubble up or something. I've never seen them come in here without a popsicle or some of those booty popcorn, whatever it is. And you're wondering why they're sick all the time, and you're upset at me because they got to come in so much and they have ear infections. Why don't you just change their diet? They'd look at me like, oh, I got to parent them? Touche. I'm already a ref right now. It's just a
Yes,
ref in
you are.
health,
Yeah, again, we're back to platforms. I do the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's the White Rose, the church I pastor, or I'm on the court. You're working with people, trying to get them to live their best life,
That's the
and
best
stay out of
attitude.
the way. It's just a platform.
How'd you get into it?
My dad was a ref, so I grew up going to games. So I just realized, well, that's an easy way to make $20 when you're 18 or
You
20.
think you're better than your dad?
I am better than my dad.
You
yeah.
are. What makes you better than your dad?
My
Because
dad,
they say we should be better than those that coached us.
my faith.
Your faith. Mm.
I know that I'm there to serve, and I don't take things as personally.
Mm.
If a coach is yelling at you, it's like, what? You yelling at me? You're going to show me up? You got to prove something.
Yeah.
We
got
don't
nothing
have,
to
we don't
prove.
have anything to prove.
Oh, it's so good. You're so humble. I'm going to take some of your humility. I love it. I like it. Because
Well,
I could
it's
see myself getting wound up.
Well, they're trying to get you wound
Oh,
up.
well, I
you
get
know,
passionate. I could see myself if it just push it. I've been upset at refs. I realize I think this is healing for me because I've been bitter refs since I think it was it was when Vlade got taken out by the ref that was paid off the Lakers to beat the Sacramento Kings in the Game 7, and he admittedly he came out and now he's not a ref anymore. But you know what? That ruined Sacramento's life.
Yeah.
It stabbed their heart. They traded players. We've never recovered ever since. That was our year to beat the Lakers in 7, and we got cheated by a ref. And so
This is deep for you. I
feel
can
like
see
I'm healing up my ref hatred.
Well, maybe I should share with you what I've shared with my boys,
Do it.
growing up,
Teach
because
me.
they're like, yeah, these refs were terrible, and they cost us the game, and I'm like, okay,
Oh yeah.
let's settle down a
You're
second.
helping me right now.
Let me pull back a second. Chris, Chase, here's the scoop. If you needed the refs to make all the right calls in order for you to win,
Oh shoot.
you didn't play to win, my friend. So
But
if
momentum's a big deal.
if you want to put all your eggs
Okay.
in the basket of someone
what
you
you're
don't
doing.
even know, and all of a sudden he needs to get that right call on that right angle for you to win, you didn't play to win, dude.
Momentum's the thing, though. Don't take it. I mean, I get it, but there is such thing as momentum. I haven't got all the calls right in life, but you know what? I have an overcoming spirit, but it does, take the wind out of your sails.
How are you going to have a marriage if you're planning on your spouse, making all the right calls in order for you to
I see what you're doing now. I see
how
what
are you
you're
going to
doing.
have a good life at work when you're like, well, my boss, I didn't like this, and my colleague, I didn't like that. It's like, dude, you are so regulated by externals. Get your head right.
Ooh. Now we're into mindset coaching.
Oh.
You're so good. I see what you did there. I receive it. I receive it. Oh, wow. I feel like I just got schooled by the schooler. Okay, that's good coaching. Thank you for that. What else you got for me today? I feel like I healed up my ref thing. I feel like you're giving
You're
me
going to
some-
like reffing. It's going to help you make decisions better because there's so many life principles in reffing, right? You can't make the call too
I
far
think I'm
away
gonna
from the
make
play.
reffing better.
Yeah. of course. Why not? Everything you do, you make better, right?
Well, I mean, I think I could bring up the game. Now that I'm learning there's more to it, because to me, I didn't want to be the guy because I'm not black and white. But now that you just taught me this dead ball thing,
Yeah.
that now I'm really into it.
Well, the thing about reffing that's helpful is it bringing up black and white. We wear black and white stripes to remind
Yes.
people. We know there's gray.
Yeah.
Look, do you think the guy always takes the charge easily? He's always there on time.
Yeah.
And then the offensive player didn't lean into it and shove him at the same time. Like it's a train wreck. But we have to decide, are you going to go black or white?
Mm.
We can't live with the gray all the time. Like you kind of pushed him, but you
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of moved.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. And
Yeah. Yeah.
no, make a freaking call and let's move
Why is
on.
everyone so intimidated by LeBron? The biggest flopper out there.
He is a
I can't
flop.
even watch his games. I feel like refs are intimidated by him. Can he get people fired?
Well, now you're in the NBA,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm a
okay.
college ref.
Yeah, that's right.
College ref is truer. It's a little more honest. It's a little more rah-rah.
Okay.
It's a little more all-American. Now you're into like big business, gambling,
Yeah.
what's on the game.
Yeah.
It's different.
Okay, good. I'm giving up on NBA. I'm gonna start coming to college games
You're
and
gonna like it.
okay, good. I'm in. I'm in. Thank you. I felt like that really just went full circle for me. Now, how do you find being a pastor and a coach, how they relate?
They're all the same, right?
That's
They're all
what
the
I
same.
say.
You're working with people, which means you got to listen to people. You got to know people. You got to help. Again, it doesn't matter if it's reffing, coaching, or pastoring. I'll work with a new referee and we'll be heading out on the floor and he's doing stuff. I'm like, you're not tracking, dude. You didn't do your research. You don't know this coach. You don't know what he just dealt with.
Oh,
You
so
don't,
you
you,
research coaches?
I, we work with people, dude.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
people, like you need to know they lost last night by 1 point in overtime going into tonight's game. Don't you want to know that? Don't you want to know like what's going on with players and leagues and is this game for anything?
You know
Does
what I
it
like
mean it?
about you? You're flying at 50,000 feet and dropping down. So you know how to do airstrikes and ground troops.
There you go.
That is amazing. Not all refs do that, as you just said. Neither
Well,
do a lot of pastors, too. They just get up and want to preach, but they have no idea. I got checked on Tuesday. I was going full like men's prayer, full throttle.
yeah.
We had about 200 guys, and I was just going, that's it. You guys got a man up, blah, blah. Anyways, this guy came up to me and he says, hey, will you pray for my friend? I said, oh, absolutely. I came over. I said, what's going on, man? He goes, oh, my son died 2 days ago. And I go, I mean, literally,
Wow.
it just stopped me dead in my tracks.
That's relevant information.
That's relevant info. And I
Yeah.
go, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
First of all, I got to commend you. All my pregame speech up there, don't even worry about it. Like
Yeah.
I was preaching to the choir. You're the individual.
Yeah.
Like that was a broad stroke. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm here for you. But it took me back. I said, I am so proud of you. You could be anywhere right now. You know where you're at? Men's prayer. If I lost my son 2 days ago, you know where I'd be? In bed, curled up in the fetal position, crying
Yeah.
out to God, going,
Yeah.
where are you? And he goes, well, that's where my wife is.
Yeah.
And he goes, but I had to come be around men to receive a word. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, let's get that word and pull it out of heaven right now.
Yeah, no, I love that. Context is everything,
Context is
right? Guys eisegeting, reading into the text, that's not the context, dude. That's not what Paul meant when he said that.
Yeah.
And we have that with people. You got to know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Whether it's sports or whatever. You and I get to travel and speak at different places, which is super cool. But I'm always shocked when a traveling speaker or keynote like isn't tracking with like, what do you know about this organization? What do you know about this church? What have they been doing? I don't know. I'm just here to speak. Yeah, but you're coming out of like a meteor out of nowhere. Like, don't you want to know that they're in California and they just had an earthquake last week and this happened here, or they're going through COVID? Like, don't you want like, dude, do
It's
your
amazing
homework.
how so many people, you're right. Now that you bring that up, I just didn't see that in the ref world being pertinent until you're right just now. That's insane. You could apply this to anything because I called up this church one time. Oh, I asked my PA, hey, call the pastor. I want to know. I had her a list of like 10 questions. And he sent it back and goes, no, I don't. It's fine. Whatever he wants to preach on. I said, no, I'm not coming for general. If God's asked, opening this door for me to come, I need these answered or it's just not the right fit.
Right.
And I could tell he was a little annoyed, but by the time he came in, I was ready to bring a word that was relevant to his people. It's like, Not everyone thinks like that. Not everyone
Well, we
thinks
don't
like that.
just throw scripture at people. Pastors are trying to think through, given the 66 books in our canon that we have to choose from,
Yeah.
what are our people dealing with and which word do they need to hear today to take them further in the journey?
Yeah.
We're not just randomly throwing
Randomly
Leviticus
throwing
at
stuff.
them. Come on, people.
It's amazing. I'm glad we can be friends because, you taught at Biola and I went to Westmont,
I know. I
and
know.
I didn't have a lot of nice things to say about Biola.
Well, they're both tanking right now,
Yeah, they
along with
both are.
APU and everyone else. Like, what is happening with the evangelical drift? I'm like,
They're not. Oh, let's get on to our man conversation,
sheesh,
because here's the problem: they're not raising up. It's a bunch of woke jokers. You go
unbelievable.
woke, you go broke, and your school goes. I mean, I called up Westmont and said, "You're not getting any money from me," and all these alumni. And I had a couple alumni going, "Dude, that's too harsh." What do you mean? You're putting people in to teach that are professors that have no alignment with the word, and yet I'm fine with that. You can hire anybody up, but don't call yourself a Christian college.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're being prophetic. I mean, I'm a grace and truth guy. I like to
Yeah,
be as gracious as possible. But when you've been mamby-pamby for so long and tinkering along and lily-livered souls, I mean, how long can we just be nice? Nice is not going to get it done, dude. Someone needs to like speak the truth in a
yeah,
way that's candid and clear. Make the call, dude.
yeah.
Blow the freaking whistle and like pop
Make
it
the
out
call.
there.
Let's
Like, you
go.
not just make the call, you got to sell the call. You got them, you know.
Are you pretty animated? Man, I
If it
wish we got to find video clips of him refing. I want some video clips of him refing B-roll. I mean, we got to see it. I mean, just a flex. I mean,
You're
I
hilarious.
cannot believe your age and that you are still fit and vibrant. And I mean, I take care of a lot of people, so I'm just going to tell you, you're the unicorn. But I'm inspired because I'm getting whatever you're doing. I'm going to pick up. Just to know, you've been married 38 years. You got 5 kids. You still hang out with your kids,
Absolutely.
so they
They're
love
like,
hanging out with you.
they're my only friends other than you. I'm trying to get some friends, you know. So let's go.
Well, you're too busy. I'd rather be friends with my kids. I want to grow up and be the relevant, cool dad
Yeah.
that is bold, courageous, raising up warriors. But
You're doing it.
that whole quote is, strong men create, or hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. I believe that we're in hard times right now, going into harder times because of a bunch of weak men.
Yeah.
Like I don't even relate to most men right now.
Yeah, no, the passivity is just chilling.
And then
And
there's extreme, like this one guy, and I'm not judging him, by the way. Someone sent me a DM one time, like, "Oh, I can't believe you called him out." He's an influencer, but he's so proud of himself that he's a convict. Every other word's an F word. I mean, I can't even relate to the guy. I mean, great, you're a convict. Like, are you proud of that? Don't get a license plate that says convict and be like pumped about it. Like, let's hear the story of overcoming. But there is no victory in Christ. So he doesn't get it. So I'm not judging him. He has no clue what he's doing. But it's like but he's an influencer. He bought a Lamborghini and he's worth all this money and he drops a F bomb. I was like, that's not that creative for me. You've used a lot of big words today that I'm going to go look up later. I'm like the Forrest Gump, but I still don't need to curse. You know what I mean? I was like, what is the substance between yelling at guys, flexing on them, showing your Lambo and dropping F bombs all the time? Is there anything else?
it's an insecure
Oh yeah,
symptom of someone who doesn't have internal gravitas.
yeah.
These people are
Internal
not,
gravitas. There we go again. Another
they're
word. Can you
not,
write that down?
they're not connected to
Yeah,
something transcendent. You
yeah,
know, they don't have a
yeah.
relationship with God. There's not a sense of eternal anchoring. So they have a lot of puffery, you
Yeah, but
know.
how's that inspiring? Like, you know what I mean? It's like I want to see the men. I don't need to show half naked pictures of my wife to prove how hot she is. I don't really. That's not what this is about. I married a beautiful girl, and I don't need to exploit her to get followers. I don't need to exploit her to, look how awesome I am. Doesn't make me better. Like, dude, how did that guy get hurt? Yeah, that's what I say all the time. I'm married up. I was a tither. She wasn't. You know what I mean? Uh, but
Uh,
it's just those things. Is I want to. My fruit's going to be my kids. Does my wife love me? Are we doing living this epic life with purpose? And do my kids want to resonate? I was just having this conversation because I love chiropractic, and it's a lifestyle. And a lot of chiropractors were way ahead of the curve during COVID. And then a lot of chiropractors, we found out why they sucked in practice is because they didn't have that, they didn't know their identity And so they said they were vitalistic chiropractors, but then when COVID hit, they folded like a deck chair and went with the rest of them.
Right.
And then I go, yep, that's exactly why you weren't successful. Because every successful chiropractor I know has conviction. They it's like preaching the gospel of chiropractic, which is vitalistic care, the power that made the body heals the body. You get healed from above down, inside out. I'm not the chiropractor. I don't heal you. Your body heals itself. God gave you that innate potential. I'm just looking for areas of interference and correcting it. We live that way. Well, we're not going to put crap in our body. I'm not going to put vaccines in my body. I'm not going to put drugs in my body. I don't have a headache because of lack of aspirin in my bloodstream. There must be something physically, emotionally, or chemically off in my body. Right. Let's assess it and treat it the right way. I say that all to say, I was just at a seminar hearing all these speakers, getting all the latest research, and I had this epiphany. I'm like, crap. I'm raising up purebreds. My daughter's 12. My son's 9. My other one's 5. If I don't start being intentional with teaching them these principles, they're going to go marry a common person. I'm already in trouble because my kids want to marry someone passionate about Jesus. So now that's already put them over here in a smaller pond.
Yeah. You've whittled
and I don't
it
want
down.
them to settle just because she's beautiful and she doesn't love Jesus. Listen, what's the more important thing? And I said, so I got to teach on that already. Now it's these health principles about living a healthy lifestyle, right? The above, down, inside out, the ADIO principle lifestyle. I got to teach my kids because they're purebreds, purebloods. You know what I mean? They're not going to go find someone that the next pandemic, they have kids now and then they're having an argument in the family. I can't tell you how many husbands and wives aren't on the same page with how they're going to raise their kids, to be bold, to be courageous, so now I've limited them to an even smaller pool within the pool. I said, now I have to start training chiropractors to raise their kids in a certain way so we have a dating pool that we can keep these purebloods together. So now it's just like my whole strategy after this weekend has totally changed. I have to level up. I also said, I'm only going to travel. If I'm going to go spend a week with somebody, my bar just went up about 4 notches. I want to be with someone that is interesting, not a bump on a log. Sometimes, husband and wife, one of the couples, your wife really likes somebody, but you're like, dude, his husband's a dud. Her husband's a dud. I can't do a week. I could do 2 days. I could pastor them. I could go out to dinner with them. But to go a week to the BVI's or a week to Lake Powell, it's got to be this. They got to have this family value thing. They got to have the, real man kind of vibe, because iron sharpens iron.
And we're creatures with finitude. We have limits. We
finitude.
Can't. We can't hang out with everyone. We don't have all time.
Yeah.
We got to use it wisely. So why not use it with people that take your game up?
Listen, we are going over so many different topics right now. I hate to do this to everybody, but you're going to have to wait and stay tuned for part 2 of the next episode, where I'm going to finish this interview with this incredible mighty man of God, Dr. Dave, to get more in depth on some serious topics that we're gonna go after some sacred cows. So don't miss out. Stay tuned. Part 2 is coming up next.